everybody, and welcome to the Wild Wahine. This is Kaylani, and today we're going to be talking about the new moon in Leo. So welcome, thank you for tuning in and watching as we talk about setting our intention and planting our seeds with the new moon. I'm really excited about this time. You guys know it is no secret that I am a Leo and I love Leo season. And now that the moon is moving into Leo, our sun is in Leo, so we've had all that warm energy and that like excitable energy and that creativity, hopefully, and we've just like really let ourselves shine and really like show up authentically as ourselves in our power, you know, during the time that the sun is in Leo. And so now we have our moon moving into Leo, and the moon represents all of the things that are kind of in our subconscious mind, all of the things that we might try to bury, the things that not a lot of people see, the things that maybe only we tell ourselves quietly in the dark, or what we tell like our close friends. And so we have this conscious person, the ego, the sun, that's like coming out with all of this like energy, taking up space. And then we have the moon, which usually sits back and is kind of ruminating about things, also kind of carrying on this like larger energy and this creative energy. And it's really asking us at this time to step into the things that really like make us shine and make us happy and make us joyful, and also bring joy to others. So one thing that I want to talk about when we're manifesting or we're setting an intention with the new moon, like I said, the new moon is that time at the start of the cycle where the moon is dark, and a lot of times people will plant their seeds. So they'll maybe do a meditation, or they'll do like some journaling practice, and they'll just say, okay, this is what I want. Sometimes people do like a vision board. There's so many different ways to manifest or set an intention, and some people, you know, they don't like the whole ritual of it. If for nothing else, what they'll do is say, okay, this is a new cycle, this is the energy that I'm leaning into, and it's just something that I keep in the back of my mind that I can use. And that's fine too, because we're all doing like what we do, and there's no right or wrong to any of this. We're fired up, we're taking action, we're really like uncovering the thing that makes us like passionate, and that turns us on, and that makes us like want to really like jump out there and get things done. So fire in general, fire and sun, really is a lot about transformation, especially with fire. You know, if you add heat or warmth or fire to something, it transforms it. The way that it looked in the beginning, it doesn't look like that in the end, and there's an ignition that happens. With the sun, there's this like sustaining energy, kind of like if you have a bonfire and the next day, the next morning when you wake up, the embers, you know, it's still, there's still a lot of heat that's coming from that. So we're talking about like stepping into our passion, stepping into things that make us excited about like living life and being here. Now, with that being said, I understand that we've got a lot of energies going on, right? There's a lot of planets that are doing things. Saturn is in retrograde in Capricorn, so that's kind of, you know, putting us in a tight space, you know? So it's like trying to find, and we've talked about this before, trying to find ways to play and have fun in a contained space, in a space where, you know, you're not really allowed to just completely run off and go wild. It reminds me a lot of like children, you know, when they're in school, when they have recess, there are rules and there's structured play. So we are kind of in that space where we're able to play and we're able to be creative, but it's still in a place where it's a little bit structured. You know, there'll be other times where we're able to kind of sort of like, wow, let it all hang out and just let it rip. But right now we're in a contained space. So we're trying to find space, and we're trying to find play, and we're trying to find creativity, and we're trying to really go after what we want in a little bit of a tight situation, you know. And that can be challenging because it makes you feel like, oh my gosh, like right now I don't feel, you know, very creative, you know, because I have all of these other challenges and there's so many things going on in the world. Like, do I even have a right to be creative? Like, there's so much heavy energy. There is sickness. People are having, you know, financial issues. You know, people are having regular issues like they usually have, you know, with just feeling good about themselves and who they are, and family issues, and, you know, family dynamics and relationship dynamics that are kind of sort of going all over the place. How do I have permission to actually like play? You know, like, is there room for play? Is there room for going after my dreams when I have so many other things that are like holding me down? And I'm telling you, yes, there's room for it, and absolutely yes, you should go after it. So I wanted to tell you a little bit of I guess an analogy of the seeds. Like, there's some seeds and anybody that gardens knows this, that you can only germinate in water. So when I think about that aspect of water, water has that aspect of just allowing you to just sit there in that primordial soup, so to speak, and all of these ideas and all of these things are coming through. And once that happens, like once the seed, absorbs enough water, it breaks through, that's when you start to see that little sprout that happens, and then once it gets to the place where you got a couple roots and you got that sprout, then you can plant it into the ground. So you go from that water kind of energy where you're just like allowing that seed to like just sit and absorb all of the water, which is all of the ideas and everything. And as soon as it cracks open, right? Because a seed will never be, it never goes back to being a seed. It will grow up and then be that plant, and that will give birth, right, to fruit that has more seeds. But there is a transformation in that. And I think in that space is where people kind of get stuck, because they don't want to really step into their transformation or create things, because they realize that, oh, if I do this, if I step into this, if I write that great, script, or if I ask for that raise, or if I start my own business, I will never again be this person, the person that I was before. And, we become so identified with who we are and what we do that when we make that transition, we're scared. So yes, crack out of that. That's that fire energy. That's what we're talking about. Then we take that and then we plant it in the earth, right? And that's actually energy that we're coming up upon, because we're about to go into Virgo season, and that happens at later part of this week. So think of ourselves as this seed that's been kind of sitting during Cancer season in this water, thinking about what we wanted to do, dreaming about what we wanted to do, kind of getting into that feeling place of what we want to do. And Leo season literally has been cracking in that transformation, and like how are we going to like really step into that? So I want to talk about what Leo season means in the macro level, like I usually do, and then we'll go to the micro level, which is like that individual level. So on the macro level, what does that mean? Well, the sun is light, right? It's shining, or it's bringing truth to things. It's bringing things can't be hidden, a lot of the times when the sun is up and out. And also when the sun, when the moon is in that Leo, which is ruled by the sun, and that sun and fiery energy, things that have been hidden are actually coming to light. There's going to be a lot of things that are coming to light, a lot of things that might have been hidden that you can actually see, or you're having more clarity of mind about it, or people are having more clarity of mind about like what's really going on. And then what's also exciting about that is not only you get to see things as they really are, you actually get to problem solve for them in a really creative way. That's one of the things that I think a lot of people are finding challenging right now, is they're going through, a global pandemic and all of the things that we're going through. It's almost as if we have forgotten how to problem solve. It's a skill that I feel like we're lacking. We're kind of in a place where it's like, oh my gosh, this is happening and I can't believe it, and what am I going to do, and it's not going to look the same. And we can feel all of that, and we want to feel all of those feelings, because all of those feelings are true. I'm not telling you to not feel that, but I'm also telling you, along with the kind of like, also hold, right? Also hold the, okay, so how am I going to problem solve this? How am I going to go to the end, see this through the end? How am I going to get what I need out of this? How am I going to get my needs met out of this when I have that? Something going on that I really can't control, like all the plates are spinning. How am I going to get to the other end? And how can I actually make all of these things work? That's another thing that I'm seeing a lot in comments, and people, just like, it's either this or this. It's black or white. We're either going to be rich or we're going to be poor. We're either going to be sick or we're going to all be dead. And I'm like, there is a middle place, guys. Like, there's a middle place. And so I think through creativity and ingenuity is how we find that. Like, okay, what is it that we want? These are the two things that we want. Okay, so what do we need to do to get there? Let's talk to people. Let's brainstorm about it. Let's think about it. Let's try something new. That's really interesting. Sometimes we always lean back to the thing that has always been, this is how you do it, this is how we do things. Now's not really the time with that, especially with Uranus in retrograde. Uranus in retrograde, which we talked about last time, is telling us to try everything new. And now we have the creativity to be able to come up with interesting new ways of trying to do it. On the micro level, like when we take this energy of the Leo new moon into ourselves and into our heart, what does that mean? Well, that means that we ourselves are called to do that creative thing. What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to create? What is it that you have always thought that you thought you could do, but for this reason, that reason, this reason, and that reason, you weren't able to do it? That's what you want to lean into. I don't feel like I have a right to. that's what you want to lean into. I don't feel like I have the power to do it. Like, who am I to do it? Who am I to do it at this time? Who? All of these questions. Leo energy just says ignite that shit. The thing about Leo is it's fire, it's heat, it's hot energy. Hot energy is not like, you know, when you're building a fire, you need the kindling, right? You need dry kindling. You have to have that or the fire's not going to start. Water, we know, is associated with emotions. We need to kind of sort of be dry in that sense, right? Like all that, well, who am I? And I'm not sure. And, you know, what if I, and what if, and that's a lot of emotional stuff. And I'm not saying that emotions are not good, because we absolutely need them. And Venus is in Cancer right now, so we're feeling all of those kind of feels right now. But there is a time where we just kind of say, I'm not going to really think about how I feel about it. I'm just going to do it. You know, I'm just going to ignite. I'm going to like just strike right now. I'm not going to just like let it sit there and think, because that place, that beautiful place of sitting and thinking and ruminating and that is the creative space. But the time and the action to do it is right now. And that's what this time is encouraging us to do. It's to take action. It's to make that step. It's to step into your fear. It's to do the thing that you really want to do, that maybe everybody is telling you not to do, and maybe yourself is telling you not to do, but you just know that it's right, and you know that's the direction, but you're a little bit scared. And that's okay, because we're all scared at some point to step into things. So next I want to talk about my goddesses before we close this out. So we have two goddesses, Hathor. Both of these goddesses, Hathor and Sekhmet, are both from the Egyptian pantheon. And so Hathor is a goddess of the sky. She's associated with like the sacred cow, which is like abundance, which is bringing, you know, all the milk and all the meat and all of that. You know, cows are always associated with abundance and life-giving and kind of the mother. She also is a goddess who guides people into the underworld. She's the patron of artists, and she's also a solar deity, which is one of the reasons why you know, we're talking about her today. But she's a patron of artists. She's a patron of acrobats and of dance. She's kind of like the goddess of like music and dancing and alcohol and partying and festivities and fertility and pleasure. That's like the energy of her. So she is the one who is, when you think of her and when you think of that energy, it's that archetypal energy of making things happen and creating and having pleasure and enjoying yourself while you're creating. Sekhmet, which is a lot of times in the mythology associated with her counterpart, the part of her that actually is fiery, a little bit more dark. She's the vengeful side. She's called the Lady of Pestilence, or I would call her the Lady of Coronavirus, because that's the pestilence that we're dealing with right now, of sickness. She's also the great healer too. She's also the vengeful one. She's like the karmic goddess. So when shit goes down and, you know, the plains need to be flattened and burned, it's Sekhmet that comes in. She was actually part of this group, this kind of posse of goddesses who are the eye of Ra, you know, who would hold the vengefulness of Ra, who's the sun god. So I love to think of these goddesses and their kind of dualistic aspects. And in some mythologies they're connected, and in some mythologies they're totally separate goddesses that were worshipped in different places in Egypt. But in the one mythology you have Hathor, who has all of this creativity and this abundance and this love and all this energy and all this beauty and all of these things. And you know, some stuff goes down and Ra is basically like, okay, you need to kill some humans. And then, you know, she transforms into Sekhmet, which is this goddess with the lioness head, and she's basically just like, I'm taking everybody out. Like, I'm, you know, like, here is the boundary, you guys have overstepped the boundary and you're going down. And she kind of sort of like, you know, has a little bit of like gets high off the bloodshed and everything, and they have to actually put beer in the Nile River, which she drinks, and then turns her back to her kind of like goddess of love and like good times, Hathor, you know. So we have this kind of dualistic aspects of these goddesses, which I like to associate with the creative process. So what's interesting to me is like when you're in that creative space, you know, you're wearing the things that I know writers that actually are like, I have my writing jacket, or, you know, it's like I have my crystal here that, you know, influences me, or whatever it is that you need to dress up and do in order for you to do your creative thing, or give yourself permission, or invoke whatever, or burn some incense. You know, like you're in this pleasureful state so that creativity can come through. That's a lot of the times how it does come through. It's who you are. Being a creative person, opening up yourself to creativity, stepping into your power, being the person that is the giver of the gift. You know, mothers, it's interesting, motherhood often are associated with gift givers because that's what the child is. You know, when I think of creativity, I often think of like motherhood because I feel like you're birthing something. And I'll often talk to my clients and ask them like, well, what do you want to birth? What are you birthing? You know, I'm like seeing like all these planets in your fifth house, or I'm seeing like things like Leo energy, or, you know, certain cards are coming up like the sun in tarot, and they're like, no children, I don't want to have children. I'm like, okay, so what are you birthing? What are you putting out in the world? What is the creative thing that you want to put out? What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to step into? How do you want to share your joy with others, you know? And with that being said, as you do that, sometimes you do need to have boundaries. Sometimes you do need to wipe the slate clean. Sometimes you do need to have that kind of, that Sekhmet power, that powerful goddess who takes no shit, who like, you know, is kicking ass and taking names and is like, you know, this is my work, this is what I stand for, I'm not negotiating my rate down, I'm gonna hold to this, people will pay me, that kind of like, I'm gonna take care and handle the business. So you got these two goddesses, right? And you're stepping into both of those energies and you're saying to yourself, like, how can I balance the creative kind of fun, mothering, just like sensual aspect along with the structured, I need to stand up for myself as a creative, as a person standing into the power, and balancing those two things. And that's why I like to kind of like add those two goddesses as to when we're talking about the new moon. So anyway, I just want to tell everybody, have a great new moon. Definitely think about what you want to manifest and what you want to bring out in the world. If you have any questions, you can always DM me those questions, or you can leave them. You can email me. You can find me at The Wild Wahine on YouTube. You can find me at The Wild Wahine on Facebook. On Instagram, it's the_wild_wahine. Why can I never say that? the_wild_Wahine. It's like such a tongue twister. Anyway, but thank you guys so much for joining, and I will see you Wednesday on the beach live. It's 1:11 every Wednesday. Again, we're going to be doing the garden live because we're kind of a little bit on a lockdown here in Hawaii. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.